Hey everyone, we're back to session 2 and we've been having fun with our art journal covers. By this point you've probably been playing a little bit with the background paint and getting to know a little bit about, just having a base layer down, whether it's as complex as what I've been doing. I had a little bit of fun. Or it could be something, just simple that's coming onto the page, like a base cover and a little few elements here and there. So today what I really wanted to focus on, and it's raining here and it's beautiful. So it's a perfect rainy day for me to get back into my art journaling with you all. So today I just want to talk about adding more layers. And before we were using our paint color as our base and as our adhesive to kind of add, and you can see that this is kind of where I'm at now with mine, and I still am being called to do more layers. I have a lot being, I see some kind of color or area and I'm shredding and finding quotes and all these things. So I've got my acrylic medium, and again you can use Mod Podge, that works great too. And so I've got my container and I'm just going to add in a little bit of my medium. And I just use a little bit at a time. And I'm only going to do a little bit with you on this one because I wanted to also show you the binding part. But the area I'm working with, I add a little bit of the medium as well as on the paper. And then I lay down and brush over the top of the paper, and that begins my layering. Now, even if I'm adding more layers on top of this, it's gonna stack. And sometimes you'll get a curling effect and sometimes you won't. It just kind of, depends. And then once you get, and you don't even have to add a lot of medium to the back of the paper because, once you lay it down. But if you're not for certain, or if it's a thicker, like this was a little bit thicker paper, so I added a little bit of medium down just to make sure that it was gonna get on the way I wanted it to. But now, like, this is pretty thin, and so, I've got plenty of medium going on here. And I know kind of how I want it, so there it goes, just like that. Just lay it down and lightly brush over the top, and voila, my layering is in progress. And this is also fun too because you have a lot of, if you're like me and you do mixed media paper and painting and all that, you can use a lot of your scrap paper from those projects into your other projects. So that's a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside and go over a bit of the binding. So that it depends. I mean, a lot of this is, for decoration, right? But if you're going to be adding a lot to your notebooks and gluing in pages and all that fun stuff, you want to make sure that you can bind it through the middle so it gives support to the existing book and the existing pages. So the way we have it flattened, again, is through the middle here. So right when the middle part is, then we're going to take our yarn or our ribbon, and then we are going to just wind it through, just wrapping it. And you want to have a nice kind of supportive wrap. What I do is I wrap it once and then I kind of slip it through for the first few times, giving it some tension just so it kind of works out. And then that way it's got kind of a solid thing going on. And of course, there we go. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of unraveling there, but story of yarn, right? Okay. So I'm gonna do that until I'm happy with it, and generally it can be anywhere from You know, it could be anywhere from 3, like this could just be enough if I'm going to do a light book. And you can add to this over time too. So if you figure, well, I'm going to need more yarn over time, then you'll add more yarn or more ribbon or whatever to kind of support your art journal the thicker it gets. So that's something to keep in mind too, is that you can also switch out the yarn. Like if you want to change covers, or you know, you want to do more with your cover and you're like, oh, I think I want to do a different color of this kind of element on the working with the binding, then you've got the freedom to do so, because you just cut your yarn and you're good to go, right? So that's about it for our covers. Other than that, it's just having fun. You can, after it dries, you can put another layer of acrylic medium or Mod Podge to kind of seal everything in, if it's even needed. I find that when I'm working with the medium or Mod Podge, that, you know, once you've been working with the entire cover, you don't really need to do that. But sometimes I like to do like a gloss on my cover, so I will get the glossy Mod Podge and then just put a nice thin layer of that on, and it makes it really kind of shiny and beautiful. But the one thing about that is, if you're going to add more layers on that, you need to keep that in mind, that you're probably going to have to add another layer of Mod Podge, otherwise you're going to have a little bit of dull and with the shiny. So that's something to consider. But I do love that these evolve with you over time, and it's a great way to just get into your own messy process without judgment or working with your inner critic. And I find that it's very healing. It's a vulnerable place to be. It's something that we all need. It gives us a space to witness ourselves without needing an external source necessarily. It gives us a dumping ground for what many of us call our verbal vomit. And that's really important, because sometimes we like to act based on our emotions, and we may not be exactly clear in our why or what we want per se, because we're doing our actions based on an emotional response, based on an older story that we're still holding on to. And for us to get clear and make the right choices and hold on to those right actions, we want to do it from a sincere place of love and gratitude for not only ourselves but for others, and holding space that we're all at different spots in our lives. We're all coming from life at different angles, but it's in learning how we come together, and the way we do that is by starting with ourselves. And that's easier said than done. That's why I love doing any kind of visual journaling process, is it gives us the ability to do this in a very gentle and loving way. Before I end this quick video, I also wanted to just show you a basic color wheel. I had talked about contrast at one point, finding your contrast colors, and I was mentioning the color wheel, but I didn't show you the color wheel. Sorry about that. So this is how I kind of define working with colors. And I was taught by a very beautiful lady. Her name is Shiloh Sophia, and she teaches a lot of classes at Musea Intentional Creativity. She is always, telling us always get a contrast color in there. And for me, that was really hard, because I was always working with themes. And I would be like, oh, but this is my color theme. And here's a perfect example of me. I'm still exploring my contrast here, and I'm daring to step into my contrast. So this, for example, this is kind of like a bluish green that I have going here. And so I would want to go opposite here and choose like an orange red. Now I did pick out some orange red to kind of explore today on this one, and I'm figuring out kind of how I want to layer it and what I want to do with it. But again, it's just being willing and being brave to step out of our comfort zone to put that contrast down. And for some journals, you have to feel your way into it, and it can be a little bit more challenging. And for others, like this one, I think the difference was this: I set my intention with this one that I was just going to release and just not think about it at all. Meanwhile, with this one, because I kept it like a simple cover, it felt more controlled and less dynamic for me. And I think that's what the problem is that This is calling to the logical side, the more structured side of my brain. And this one is accessing the other side, which is completely fluent and flowing and in my happy place. I have a lot more hard time sticking with my logical side or having my logical side meet my creativity side. And so there's always a little bit more conflict if I start with the more structured side of thinking. And for many of us creatives, that is often the case. But there you have it, guys. I would really love if you shared with me what you're doing. And those of you that are working with me right now in different groups, send your photos my way, share with our groups, and looking forward to seeing what you guys create. I will be doing journaling prompts pretty soon here to share with all of you, so you can keep getting more ideas and inspirations, and we will work on journal pages together over time, because it's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful day. Bye.